Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Lens. Happy December. Hope you guys are having a great holiday season so far. So this month, we're actually going to be putting out 4 videos. 1 Behind the Lens episode a week, 4 times the education, the knowledge from both myself and my co-host Quinn Murphy all the way in New York City. Quinn, it's already dark outside. I can see your window and it's like... It's like 4 o'clock.
You scared me for a second.
No.
Yeah. You're like, it's already dark.
It's like 4 o'clock on the East Coast and it's like already pitch black outside. That's depressing.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good for the mental health, but we trudge along.
Not ideal. You're looking great though. Your skin is glowing. You're just really out here.
Thank you. I'm out here glowing.
You're vibing.
Trying.
So today, first episode of December, and we have a pretty special one, at least I think. So as I mentioned a couple episodes ago, Quinn and I actually create some of Alicia Keys' social content, some of her YouTube content. Quinn works with her a lot more closely than I do, but we do work with her from time to time together, which has been an amazing experience. And today we actually wanted to break down a video that Quinn and I shot together with Alicia. It was in Los Angeles back in September. It was 3 of her concerts here in LA, 3 consecutive days, and we made a little recap video. But before we get into all of that, we are going to show you a short snippet of that video, and then we'll walk you through Quinn's creative process when it came to putting it together. So here's a quick 30-second clip of that video.
So grateful. Feel stronger than I ever felt.
Can you feel my love tonight?
My voice is better than it's ever been. My endurance, my stamina is higher and stronger than it's ever been. I am on my shit. We're doing these 3 shows in LA back to back. When I tell you what it takes to do 3 shows in a row, it is not a game. I'm so fucking tired. My vocal coach is pissed at me. She said I'm talking too much. I just want to take a nap.
So if you want to check out the rest of that video, it's like a 3 to 4 minute video. It's going to be linked in the description below. It's on Alicia Keys' Instagram. But I actually want to kick it over to Quinn, and she's going to walk us through a little bit more about how this all came together.
So this was a really fun project. It was 3 back-to-back shows, which is a lot of capture, a lot of social content that the team wanted, a lot of stuff that's same day turnaround, and just an overall recap video, which is what we're gonna play for you today. So I don't have a lot of experience touring. I mean, not as much as you, Saul. You've shot a lot of shows and all that, so it's kind of like a really wild and unique adventure of a project, of a shoot to be on. There's really no formula for it. When you're on a set, that there's these certain steps that you're gonna go through for a typical commercial set or a film set. But a concert is such a unique experience. There's not a lot of people who shoot them. It's where do you even begin? How do you know where to go on the day of the shoot? How do you know where to be when the concert's happening? What access do you have? All these things are a lot to take in and figure out and navigate. So with that, I think we'll hop in the video, and then throughout we're gonna just break down how the day went, how we went, our game plan for navigating these 3 very fun shows.
Fire. Let's do it. All right. Pull up the tape, Quinn.
Pull up the tape. Wow, I haven't heard that.
So grateful. Feel stronger than I ever felt.
Can you feel my love tonight?
My voice is better than it's ever been. My endurance, my stamina is higher and stronger than it's ever been. I am on my shit. We're doing it.
So with stuff like this, it's very run and gun. There's there's rough schedules. You typically know when to arrive, when she's going to go on, and kind of everything in between is a little bit up in there, and when the show ends. So you have a call time, you go to the event, right? You go get your credentials, you get it to the venue, then you have like a window where, you know, Alicia probably hasn't shown up yet. She kind of comes a little bit later than typically when you would come. And from there, you like do a venue scout. So Saul and I went and we like would check out the whole space. We'd figure out angles. That's where we'd like basically do our own little pre-production. We'd, you know, scout where is Alicia gonna be, where is she gonna walk to go onto stage, because we have to make sure we're capturing all of that stuff. So if you're shooting your first concert and you're able to get in early, then 100% scout the venue, check it out, figure out like a game plan of where you want to be for what song and all of the good stuff.
Definitely.
Do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just for anyone, if you're about to shoot your first concert, you've shot a handful, but like you still are looking for some extra like advice, I think one of the biggest things, I think this really, we can't, at the end of the day, this is a 3-minute video, but you can't underestimate how much of a mountain it was really to climb. Like there were so many moving parts, like you mentioned, Quinn, and elements that needed to be taken into account. Like for example, there were like 6 or 7, like 6 guest appearances, and we needed to make sure we captured all those moments. And I think when it comes to concert videography or photography, it's really about the moment, like making sure, because like there's no set schedule, like a set or like a sometimes there's a shot list, but you know that changes. But it's really about like the moments. It's like, all right, at this moment, Alicia is going to be walking from the B stage in the crowd, and she's going to be walking through the crowd to the actual stage. So it's like that's a moment you need to capture. Or like she had Brent Fayez, she had Miguel, she had her come out and perform, Lucky Day, Khalid. So it's like those are all moments where it's like, all right, so like Quinn did a great job at directing me and was like, all right, for this moment, like I need you to be at this side of the stage. I need you to get some iPhone footage. I need you to get some DSLR footage like from this angle, just so that it all comes together within the edit. So understanding what your deliverable is and what you need to, you know, get to the client and what time, like that will really help out. Like if you know what the edit is going to be, whether it's video or photo, like that'll help you start taking steps backwards so that you know what you need to do in order to get that done, in order to capture those moments. And like you mentioned, Quinn, like I think when it comes to just like shooting your first concert, it can be like super intimidating, especially if you've never worked with these people before, you've never been to that venue, you don't really know what to do, and access security checkpoints, that's like a huge thing, right? It's like, you know, showing up. Like I remember the first show that we shot was at the YouTube Theater, and we arrived with the band, so we like went all the way right into like backstage or whatever, but our credentials weren't with the bands, and our point of contact was like busy doing something. So it's like we were able to get through security, but we didn't have our credentials, so we weren't allowed to go into the venue. So it's just like little things like that where it's like you don't know what'll happen, but you kind of just have to be flexible, be light on your feet, and just kind of problem solve. So I think when it comes to concert video, aside from like the vision and the deliverable, make sure you're like always problem solving. And you can, you know, come up with solutions to whatever is thrown in your way, because there always is something, especially when working like such a big artist like this.
3 shows in LA back to back. When I tell you what it takes to do 3 shows in a row, it is not a game. I'm so fucking tired. My vocal coach is pissed at me. She said I'm talking too much. I just want to take a nap. I love collaborating with the artists that I'm bringing out on stage. Bringing out Khalid, we did So Done together, plus Come For Me. Then I'm bringing out Lucky Day, because he was also on Come For Me. And we have a new song on the Keys 2 album called Stay. And then I'm gonna bring out my sister Her. We're gonna do something so incredible. I brought this beautiful young harpist named Madison Callie, who actually, she's gonna come out. Hey! Then my guy Brent Fayez is touching the stage.
You know the vibes, man.
This is our debut of this song called Trillions.
This section of the video is like the guest performance section, which is something beforehand they told us that they really wanted to focus on like all the amazing and talented guests that Alicia was bringing on and show them rehearsing and show the actual performance and create clips from that. So we had to make sure we knew when the guests were coming out. We had to make sure we both had different unique angles and covered it like properly, fully in one shabam. I don't know why I use that word, but I had to use it. Anyway, so with that comes like knowing the set lists. Do you want to speak about like set lists? Because you've shot a bunch of
definitely
shows.
So with the set list, I think that's really key in when it comes to the moments, right? I think like it's however long a set list is, however many songs, but it's typically around an hour and a half to 2 hours is a typical concert length. So I think that was really helpful in this instance because really at each show, like I think a lot of this footage is really like the concert footage itself stems from the guest performances. Like outside of that, it was more so just like some B-roll if there were some cool moments, like audience moments, but so much of this video was focused around the talent. So with the set list, like you were able to see like, all right, at this point Miguel's coming out, at this point Brenna's coming out, at this point Her's coming out. So I would say like 1 or 2 songs before each guest appearance came out, like we would go into our locations where we had previously scouted earlier in the day, and it's like, all right, so I'm gonna be here, whatever. The thing that sucks about that, at least for me, I'm tall as fuck. I'm 6'2", some like, especially 2 of the concerts were at the Greek Theater, so I had to like go and stand in front of people who paid to go see this show, and it's like, I'm sorry, like I'm doing my job, but I literally need to stand here in order to get the shots, so that sucks. And one other funny anecdote from all this is when Miguel was going to come out. And I remember earlier in the day or like just before the concert, it was like, if you miss anything, just make sure you get the Miguel moment. And I remember I was like trying to time it right because I like needed to like switch to my gimbal because like I didn't want to carry my gimbal around all the time or something happened. So I had to like, I tried to time it properly and like go backstage and like change my setup. But then as I'm like starting to walk back from backstage, like I hear Miguel's like song come on or whatever, and I'm like, no. So I like literally sprint down these like hallways and I'm like pushing people, and it's like, who is this guy? Like this random Mexican dude, just like tall as fuck, just running through people. But anyways, I was able to get back to the pit and like get the shot or whatever. But it's just like, yeah, it's like things like this happen, right? It's like so much like, all right, you need to be there. And sometimes like, I don't think this happened in any of these concerts, but it's like sometimes songs may be scrapped during the show or like things change as the show's progressing. So it's like someone might come out early, someone might come out later. So it's like you really just need to be flexible and nimble with that. But I think, you know, this was like, we not to toot our own horn or anything like that, but I do think we did a great job at like capturing these moments. And it was really cool, I think, for me, just from a personal experience. Like I've worked with her before, like I worked with her like all of last year, so it was really cool to just reconnect and see her working with or coming out to perform with Alicia, but just even being able to like you know, meet some other artists or whatever. And Alicia's really good at like introducing us as well, so it was like cool to at least just say hello to them, you know, not like talk extensively, but it was such a like powerful moment. I think just as a creative, you know, those are things you don't take for granted or forget. So, you know, that's something that really stuck out with me.
Yeah, and it's also important, like, if you are able to get there with rehearsal. So basically when you get there, there's a rehearsal beforehand, like a sound check. And so in the sound check, Alicia will take the guests and they'll run through the song and then they'll run through like the staging of it. So make sure you're paying attention to like where they're standing, where they're going to be coming out from. So key with not only just shooting the actual show is like, if you have access to rehearsal, is to like make sure you're paying attention to where everyone is and whatnot, because that will give you some insight. Like if you've never seen the show before or shot a specific show before, the rehearsal will help tell you like, this is where they're going to be, they're going to stand in this moment, and then that way when the show begins, you know, like, oh, during this song this might be a great angle to capture this moment.
Absolutely, yeah. And hopefully this doesn't seem like we're jumping around all over the place, but I think one thing in addition to that, Quinn, is you know, introducing yourself to like the stage manager or like people who are involved with the production or like the concert itself, who aren't, you know, like just the artists, because there are people who are in charge of like moving equipment on and off the stage, or like, you know, they're really they're very aware of like everything, how it's supposed to go. And it's like, you need to, you know, it's good to introduce yourself to the stage manager, because they know where you're allowed to be, where you're not allowed to be, where you should go when, because like something's going to happen. And I think during there's a moment where Alicia kind of walks through the crowd, how I mentioned before. And during the first show, like, we were told that we were allowed to follow her up to a certain point. But then on the second day, like, that camera woman was like, hey, like, are you gonna follow her again, because yesterday, like, I was shooting your guys' back, basically, even though we were told something by something else. So it's just good to be on the same page with everyone, and like try to be as collaborative as possible, because at the end of the day, like, we're all there together, like doing one cohesive job. Everyone has different roles and different tasks they need to get done, but the more you can just be, you know, a pleasant person to work with, it'll just be easier on everyone, and it'll just create a more dynamic and fun environment for everyone as well.
That's such a good point about like access, like where can I go, where can I go? So as soon as you get there, and you know, it depends like your relationship to the artist, or maybe you're shooting for the venue, or maybe you're shooting for like a press magazine, so your access will change. So make sure you're connecting with your point of contact beforehand, saying, can I go backstage here? Is this okay? You know, talk to security, like figure out that access beforehand. Don't just like guess, because you could end up fucking a lot of people's stuff up and being somewhere you're not supposed to and getting in even more trouble. So that's a great point about figuring out your access.
Exactly. Don't get in trouble. That's the last thing you want to do. Please just don't get in trouble. Because then we'll feel responsible because we told you something and then you got in trouble. So just make sure you're like figuring out. I've always been about like ask for forgiveness, not permission. But sometimes like ask for permission. It's just better to be safe than sorry, you know?
Sometimes you can sneak in a good shot here and there, but if you're able to communicate beforehand, like you said, communicate with everyone, whoever you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Beforehand. Cool.
All right, cool. Shall we continue?
Yeah, let's keep it going.
I brought my guy Miguel out, and we just showed me love. We reunited.
I can't wait. We're here in LA. Big love.
And then I brought the choir out for us to just have this beautiful moment with Fallen. To feel good, to feel so powerful, to feel so excited about music, my music, other people's music, the music I'm creating, the present, the future, I feel so amazingly good.
Those are shots, Saul.
So fire.
So good.
It's just a moment.
Cool.
Dang.
So good.
I was so drawn in. I didn't even know where I didn't want you to keep going. Also, I don't know if we already said this, but Quinn edited all. I mean, this is Quinn's vision, to be honest. I was just trying to help out, but just editing wise, I'm just
both of us.
Yeah, but editing wise, like you really put it together. I'm just like, I'm always amazed at like what you can do. Not to like toot your
Thank
own
you.
horn,
That's very nice.
You know.
Yeah, you're tooting my horn.
I know, a little too hard. I got to bring you down to earth sometimes. But no. Honestly, like
yeah, come on.
Editing is such a pivotal point in all of this, right? Like, you know, if you have to be able to tell a story in an engaging way, just for people to stay hooked in. I mean, obviously the subject matter matters a lot, and like it's so easy with Alicia because of how like legendary she is and natural in front of the camera. So yeah, but you know, it's incredible. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. No, with that, I was gonna say like, as you can see, she has like a narrative piece throughout the whole thing. So if this isn't discussed beforehand with whatever team you're working with, see if you can get sound bites, because like sound bites and those moments where your subject is talking to camera, or there's a moment where there's some like a conversation that's going on, like you're gonna want to have those breaks in between purely visual to have like some sort of narrative piece underneath it. Especially with Alicia, she focuses more on story, I would say, than visual from my experience working with her. So it's like, make sure you're grabbing those moments of like, we're doing this is happening, this is how I feel, and you know, feel free to ask the art, depending on your relationship with the artist and their comfortability. How do you say that word? Comfortability?
Yeah.
Their comfortability with being in front of the camera, which is also something you talk to like the team about beforehand. Like, oh, are they open to talking to camera, you know, sharing their experience? You can capture those moments, which helps a lot. And I think artists will appreciate that in the end, because it's easy to like get there and there's so much happening that it's like you're just capturing these moments and you forget to like pull them aside and be like, what's happening? Like, what's the context? Like, how are you feeling? What's going on right now? So
definitely. And
to do that.
Something I'd love to pick your brain about, Quinn, because I think you alluded to this in the first episode, but I think we both fall into this bucket of we're videographers, but really we're not just videographers, right? You're directing, you're producing to an extent, you're editing, you're asking the questions, whatever it is. So it's so many different hats that you have to come into this. Even if you're just hired to be a videographer, you know, it's like there's so much more that goes into it. But what's your process when it comes to like, you know, coming up with the questions for the storyline? And how do you make sure, you know, you're asking it in a way that you're getting what you need from her? And then just, you know, how do you get comfortable, you know, working with a legend, you know, A-list celebrity, whatever, and like being like, you're directing them really in essence, right? You are prompting them to answer your questions. Like, how do you go through that? And how do you learn that really, you know, because it's like, we didn't like, it's not like we didn't go to class, right? It's like, this is how you know, we're not journalists or we're not writers, you know, we're like, we make things look really nice and capture the moment. But, you know, talk us through that element of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been like a struggle for me because I'm quite introverted and I'm much more like a fly on the wall versus like trying to pull stuff out of people. Like, I'd rather capture the moment more naturally, but there is a point where you need to like make sure you're asking the right questions and getting the information for your own story when you're editing, shooting, all that. So with Alicia, she's such a natural. I mean, it's like my job is very easy because she immediately knows what to say and she's just so good explaining things and amazing. But with her, like in building that relationship, it just takes time. And you also want to make sure you're, you know, not interrupting certain moments. Like if there's a meeting or an important conversation, you're not popping in and being like, hey, like, tell me what's going on right now. Like, there's a time and a place, and it comes with just like learning different social cues and what moments work, where you can step in and ask a few questions. Ask for what questions. It kind of comes up on the fly, but overall you want to get just like a, hey, what's going on right now? Like, what is what's the event? Like, what's happening? And then like a, how are you feeling? Like, what does this mean to you is always a good one. Like any specific moments that maybe you've already shot or you're going to shoot, just ask like a basic question for that, and then, you know, see what they give you and feed off of that and make sure you're just covering like the basics first, and then you can kind of go a little deeper depending on the relationship or how deep they want to go with what information you're feeding to them.
Beautiful.
But it's fun.
Yeah. No, you're great. Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Saul? Because
it's so, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, you shot a really great, because I edited all your footage from when she was doing rehearsals for tour, and you asked her, you asked the band members, like you did such a good job asking questions. What is like your strategy with it?
I think I try to just put myself in to begin with, I've known about Alicia Keys since I was like 8 years old, right? So it's like, for me, I'm just like such a fan to begin with. So it's like, what would I as a fan like to know about like her thought process, her creative thinking? Like, why did she choose to, you know, do this song before this song? Or like, you know, how's she feeling going into like the show? Or like, why does this, like you said, what does this mean to her? Like things like that. I'm really like, I love humanizing people that have been forever like up here, right? Like where it's like people, you know, idolize them or whatever for good reason. But at the end of the day, I think what I've just experienced or learned is like everyone is a human being at the end of the day. So I think that's just what I love to see. It's like, all right, how do I make this person just seem like a regular human being who is at work? You know, they're at rehearsal, they're here long hours, they're like dedicated, passionate, you know, they are regular people to an extent, just like us, but with a celebrity attached to them. So for me, I just try to think of it like, you know, if I was just a fan sitting at home, like what would I want to know about what I'm seeing, you know, like why, like, and it's really like about getting into their mind, you know. So that's kind of how I try to approach it. But like, yeah, so I just, you know, it's like, oh, what do you know, why'd you choose to do that like that? It's like, oh, okay, like what do you want your fans to know? Like what do you want people watching this to know at home? I think those are always really good questions. And yeah, that's kind of just how I try to approach it. But it can be nerve-wracking as hell. Like It's just like, I don't, especially, I remember when I first started working with Alicia, like, I didn't, like, it was, I was literally just thrown into it. It was like, hey, I got hit up, like, that same morning to go that afternoon, and I had never met her before, and, like, all of a sudden, I'm in charge with, like, filming the rehearsals, and she doesn't know me, but, like, I kind of think about it like a school project, like, if you're in high school or in college, like, you get put together in a random group of people, like your classmates, and it's like you have to work together in order to like create a common goal, right? So it's like as awkward, like I'm super introverted too, like I can be extroverted when I need to be, but it's like still a lot of effort. But it's like I'm thinking about it, it's like, all right, well, this is my job, and like it or not, like we need to get this out of, she needs to answer some questions. So it's like, even though she doesn't know me, like you got to try to make yourself be as like welcoming, as affable as possible, and then just hopefully it works out. If they're not having a bad day, whoever it is, like hopefully they're willing and open to like collaborating with you. But it's so nerve-wracking at first until it's very calming, obviously, when they acknowledge you, and it's like, they kind of put you at ease, where it's like, yeah, they're comfortable with all of this, so that helps. But sometimes I've been in situations where people aren't having it, and they kind of are there because they have to be, and it's like, all right, well, I'm sorry, like I have to do my job and like ask you these questions right now. So it is what it is.
Yeah, no, that's it's very nerve-wracking.
Because it's like I think I'm so anxiety prone, and like I always start thinking like, what if they just are like, that's the dumbest question ever? You know what I mean? I would just like crawl inside and die.
Yeah, I know.
Like I don't want that to happen, but luckily that hasn't happened. But it's, when you like Quinn was in charge of all, like every narrative of this, like all the questions, like she did all that, and like she filmed all that. So I mean, kudos to you. Like you did a great job at like being able to pull that out of her, And it was so hectic. Like it was just, you had like 5 minutes sometimes, or I think on the last day, like the final concert, we had to wait like 30 minutes before she was like available for like Quinn to capture her or whatever. So,
Yeah, that's another good point, is like, be prepared that all the moments that you see throughout this, any talking to camera, anything that's a little bit more set up, you have such a small window to capture. So make sure you like know your gear, you're always like ready, your setup is very like portable, and you have to be ready like literally for a 30-second window. Make sure your audio is going, make sure your settings are proper, set up right to capture the moment. So a lot of these are one takes, and that's that.
You get what you get. Yeah.
Get what you get. Don't get upset.
All right, and then we're gonna finish this up with this cute little final moment with, I think, just a fan, right? So I think let's just watch this. But this is such an organic moment. That was awesome.
Oh my God! All night, she was the most amazing. You were singing every word.
I keep on falling in and out of love with you. I never loved someone the way that I'm loving you.
So much courage, and so much personality, and so much energy, and so much swag, and so much of all the things that you need. Oh, thank you. You mean everything to me. You're my music. You're my music.
That's why you do what you do.
Fire.
Woo! So good.
Fire content. Fire content.
So good.
I mean, yeah, those 3 days in LA, 3 days in LA with Alicia. That fan, like, how did that even come about? I don't even know. I think someone just pulled her from the crowd, right? Like, she wasn't like, she didn't win it.
Yeah, that was she.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was up. Alicia had just seen her. She was performing. It was like, bring her, backstage after. And this was like, we were all about to leave. So it was like really quick, like, again, a spontaneous moment. Shout out to Ramon. He captured that end footage there. But so good. I also love to throw like a little audio soundbite. What's the word I'm thinking of? Like a authentic moment at the end of a clip like this, because it's like, I don't know, it's just so fun to like end it on like a raw kind of like moment with something.
Yeah, so pure,
fun.
Just so pure.
So pure.
Yeah, wholesome, absolutely. In a world, there's so much shit going on in the world, but it's like, at the end, that's what music is, right? Like that is the connection that people, get from their favorite songs. So it's like, it was beautiful to see. Yeah, and also shout out to Ramon. Ramon is Alicia's photographer, and does video from time to time, and he was helped source some of these clips as well. So hopefully we can get him on here soon. But yeah, another great creative for sure. But yeah, crazy.
Great.
We did it.
Great job.
Yeah, no,
we did it.
Great job to Quinn. Yeah, Quinn. No, for real. Like, Quinn is underselling this. This was all Quinn. I was such a small part of this.
No.
Like, she did a great job at directing me and like letting me know what she needed so that I could perform to the best of my abilities. But you know, I think everyone was really happy with how this turned out. So you know, that's kind of all that matters.
Yeah. Couldn't have done it without you.
Aw, thanks, Quinn. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. That was fun.
Yeah,
it's very fun. At the end, it's really tiring, but at the end of the day, it's like such cool things to do as part of our job. So I feel very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did want to leave the audience with one final little nugget of knowledge that I wanted you to answer, Quinn. How can, you know, people get to the point where they're working with, you know, artists such as Alicia or their favorite artists, things like that? Any advice, you know, something tangible, like something quick that, you know, they can, you know, work on to get to this point?
Ooh. Well, I think there's so much that goes into answering that question. Like, there's so many different layers and aspects that you touch upon this channel all the time. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of patience. And it's a lot of great networking and knowing amazing people. I got to connect with Alicia through Ben Haggerty, who started Black with No Cream. He was literally my direct connect to her. And so ever since then, we've started to develop a relationship. But if I didn't know him, who knows, like, that relationship would have never happened. So it's about connecting with your fellow creators and then always just stepping up and, like, you know, doing your best work and putting your best content forward and being cool and normal.
Absolutely.
People hopefully like you.
Yeah,
so
no
hopefully
doubt.
people like me.
Yeah, everyone likes you, Quinn. But yeah, also shout out to Ben Haggerty, Ben Real versus World on Instagram, Black with No Cream. That was such a lifesaver for me, like, earlier on, like, especially in like 2018, 2019, when they were like uploading consistently. But it was like, that really made me, like, they touched upon so many topics that, or like nuances of being a videographer that I was struggling with. And it's like, they had gone through it, you know, him and Dave. So it was like, that was really helpful. So if you haven't checked out Black with No Cream, I highly recommend doing so. And I think he just revamped it, right? I saw. Yeah, like it's a whole new beast of a thing. So we're like little babies that came out of Black with No Cream. We're little, like,
exactly
subsidiaries, you know. So shout out Ben. But yeah, cool. Anything else, Quinn? Anything you want to leave the audience with before we wrap?
No, I hope if you want to shoot shows that you end up shooting shows, because they're a lot of fun, and wishing everyone the best.
Definitely. Because you're gonna need it. You're gonna need all the love. But with that, thank you again for tuning in. Again, this is our first episode of the month of December. There's going to be 3 more every Tuesday in the following weeks, so make sure you tune in. We hope this was helpful. If you still have any questions that left unanswered, or you had some follow-up questions on what we talked about today, feel free to DM either of us or both of us on Instagram, at Quinn Films, at Saul Lopez. They'll both be linked in the description below. We love answering and interacting with all of you, and, you know, just chatting about video, photo, creative, whatever it is. But we hope you're staying safe out there, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
See ya.
Woo! All right,
nice.
So stop recording on here, and then cutting up here.
I might just hit it through. That's on my element. I like dark skins, love a melanin. Pump, pushing in the tongue when I'm stepping in.